Did I want to own 30 vehicles and own the world, or have just one? I didn't want all that capitalized cost. I didn't want to have to spend $300,000 on beer. I got to pay somebody to watch it. Now if I'm paying people, now it's workers' comp. I used to manage hundreds of people. Those days are over.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mark from Limo Marketer, and I'm joined again for the 50th time, or no,
46.
The third time by Ken Donovan from Donovan's Limo, out of Orlando, just southeast of Orlando, I believe. But
I remembered.
Yeah. No, well, because I remember you're kind of on the coast there, right?
Yeah, we're right on the intercoastal. I'm close to Cocoa, where we get about 20 rocket launches a month, which is
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's got to be interesting.
When we first moved here, it was I would take a video of it and put it on Facebook, and after like 40 or 50 times, my friends were like, "Look, Ken, we get it. You live by rockets." So now, I mean, it's such a normal thing that I'll be taking the trash out, and I go, "No, there's a rocket."
Have you seen the? Because I always thought it'd be cool to see the launch. That's really cool, but when they land,
let me tell you. Well, first of all, when we watch a launch, we look at it on YouTube through like SpaceX or something. And so when the countdown gets to like 45 seconds in real time, the rocket's launching, because there's a delay in the uplink. And then you'll see it go up. And then for us, it's about 45 seconds later, and the sound hits us. Now we're 10 miles away. And there are times if the conditions are just right, like if there's a lot of fog or dew or it's chilly, it'll rattle my house so much that I'll have books rattle off that bookshelf. They'll come
no
down.
way. And you're that far away?
Yeah, we're 10 miles. Now, when the boosters come back to the launch pad, which happens 1 out of 10 times, you have to wait 3 minutes. And it's no matter how much I'm like, it's going to hit now. And the minute I let my guard down, it is like 2 shotguns going off in your backyard in succession.
Whoa.
It goes boom, boom. And no matter what happens, it's always like 10, 5, 6 seconds after you've been waiting. And it's like, now. And sometimes car alarms will start going off. You got dogs howling. It is spectacular. It's one of the reasons why we moved here. We're huge space nerds.
Yeah, no, it's, it's wild. Yeah.
We've got a university level telescope. I'm a pilot, so, I've got my pilot's.
Oh, cool.
And so anything space, forget it, as a kid, and so that's why it's kind of funny.
Yeah, no. Well, it's cool. Like, man, I can talk about that just all day long. It's so cool how like, it's finally like moving in a cool direction again, going back to the moon or whatever.
Well, in that in that vein though, I'm sure we'll talk about our sales right now, but one of the things that's also happening in the area is that since you've got all of the rockets and SpaceX just south of us in Melbourne, down by Melbourne Airport. Yeah, you've got huge corporations now. I mean, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, General Electric, General Dynamics, all of these high tech firms. And what's happening is
for launches.
Well, just for the space industry, it's high tech.
You know
what I mean? Yeah. Just like San Francisco with the software it's here. And what's happening is there's a town called Vieira, which is just about 10 miles from me. And every time
I've heard of Vieira Beach, is that?
No, that's south. It's called Vieira, Viera. And every time they just put a brand new Costco in there 2 years ago, which was great. But every time I turn around, they're building another 200 houses, and it's high income people because they're moving in. So I think the median, when I first moved here, the median income of this area was like, $67,000, which was pretty high when you take a look at America. It's got to be another 10 grand more, because these are really nice houses, and there must be 700-800 new houses being built in the past 2 years. So my customer base is exploding. From there.
That's so awesome,
And
man.
I've got regular customers and they've got disposable income. In fact, one of my newest best clients was the executive, and she's retired.
No
And
way.
but she moved everybody from Long Island down here, so she knows everybody. And
Ooh,
so that's
that's a good contact.
ooh, it's a good contact. And she's a
Nice.
riot. And just regular person. You would know, like you're a senior VP for a lot of people. Oh my God. She's
You
cool as
think
hell.
someone's all buttoned up or whatever, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
just
She's
down to
hysterical.
earth,
She's
like
hysterical.
yeah.
But so
Very
anyway,
cool.
yeah, yeah, life is good. Life has been
Yeah.
really good. Sales are strong. I can't be happier right now.
So for everyone who hasn't watched the other two videos, so Ken has kind of a well, I shouldn't even say it's that unique. I know quite a few operators who have a similar model, but how does your when you started with us? You said 4 years ago now.
Yeah,
Um, uh, you're owner operator.
yeah,
Well, why don't you give the quick,
yeah. There was a decision that I made early on. Um, did I want to own 30 vehicles, and own the world, or have just one and use affiliates? And so I chose the affiliate route. You know, First of all, I didn't want all that capitalized cost. I didn't want to have to, spend $300,000 on vehicles, because at that point you've got to, now I've got to pay someplace to store them. Now I got to pay somebody to watch them, and now if I'm paying people, now it's workers' comp and and
and on
payroll
and
and
on and
payroll
on.
taxes. You know what I mean? And that whole headache.
Insurance.
And I used to manage hundreds of people, and I'm just those days are over. I don't need I don't need an employee calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning saying that I can't take a 6 a.m. flight because my parakeet's sick. Those,
Yeah.
and so, I decided to do affiliates. And so I found Mark, thank God. And, I spend a lot of money in marketing. And so I'm the giver of the leads. And so what I do is I find owners. You have to be an owner. And so there's, I take a lot of people like to dinner and, their anniversaries in Orlando and to concerts. And when I'm hanging out with other limo owners, they have to be an owner. If somebody impresses me, I give them my business card and I kind of take them under my wing. And what I do is, as an owner, I say, look, you're going to give me bids on these, and just know you're going to be competing against other people. But I'm not going to, I don't beat them up about cost. Like,
Yeah.
you're an adult. You run your own business. If you say it's going to cost you $150, it's 150. I'm not going to come
I
back
like
and say,
that.
can you do it for 120? No, you're an adult. But just know that you're competing against 5 or 6 other people.
Yeah.
And and so
That's perfect. I love that. Not beating them up on price, but hey, just be aware. Yeah.
and so they give me, and so Orlando's is a hugely competitive market, and so because I have to hit a price point, and so
Sure.
I'll never be the most expensive. I'm just kind of not even I'm probably in the 80th percentile, if we want to do that, 75 to 80.
Yeah.
um so we do have, there is value there. And
Yeah.
so
Meaning you're probably cost more than the average.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep,
But not like
yeah,
the super premium or
yeah.
something.
And so if somebody says they can
Great.
do this, 10 passengers going from MCO airport to the cruise ships and a week later coming back, somebody says I can do it for $200. I can do it for 220. I can do it for 185, but I can't pick them up at 8 in the morning like they want. I can pick them up at 11:30. It's kind of, and so I'll choose one. Let's say I choose one for $200, and then I'll tell the client it's 250. So I'll pocket 50. They'll pocket 200. The minute they drop them off, I pay them. I use Zelle. I treat them well. I don't play games with them. There's one thing I learned early on with people that you work with. Number one, you never mess with their money. And number two, you never mess with their time off. Well, their time off is their decision. So you never mess with their money. And so I've had people with me for years. Like I've been doing it 4 years. I've had people here 3.5 years, and I still get 5-star reviews. And so that's been my business model. I don't want to own the world. And so now I'm going to retire maybe in 5 years. That's kind of the goal. And I'll be able to kind of pull back, and I can still do this and still make a decent income. And so that's it. I own one vehicle, and I do
But you
still,
can sleep at night.
and I can still kind of own the world. So,
Yeah, no, and you can sleep. You don't have that huge monthly nut, right? That you got to cover every month, even when it's slow. And that's what I mean when I say you can sleep at night. And
yep, yep, yep.
yeah,
And so I don't have that unpredictability of employees and call outs and all of the headaches that go with it. I mean, you're still dealing with drivers and stuff, and and it's been good. I've formed, bonds and friendships with people that have lasted for years, and they're really, yeah, they're just the guys and girls that I have are absolutely wonderful. If you look at through my, all of my reviews, their names are all over it.
so
Um,
so there's like so many like mini lessons in there, which we I know we discussed on the last video, but they're so important, and I still to this day run into things all the time where people will trade like reputation for short-term money or
yeah,
and I'm sure
yeah,
I'm
yeah. I went into this business not knowing anything about limousine. I mean, I've always been in the service industry, and I used to do a lot of business travel, and so I knew early on, when I was booking travel for business, I was, you get to that number 9 on your checklist to book business travel, and I'm not going to number 10 until number 9's done. And so
yeah
if I reach out to a company and they're not there, I'll go to the next guy, you
yeah
know.
yeah yeah
And so, I wanted it as easy as possible to take your money. You want to give it, your wallet's out. You got the corporate credit card right there. And so that with the system, with the software that you've provided, I run my entire company from the software, and the automation is just phenomenal. And
yeah
so that is probably the number one thing that people tell me right when they get in the vehicle. Besides that, then they love me. But anyway, but
is the communication essentially.
communication, when you're paying a premium for service, and this is what separates us from taxi cabs and Ubers. Communication is the number one most vital thing, and I've let drivers go because of it. The minute they book with me, and the minute they pay their deposit or something, I've got a text that goes out, you know, thanks for paying your deposit. You're all set. You'll get another email 2 weeks before your trip, and to pay the balance. And then when they pay the balance, I get an email, and I've got a template. Thanks, so and so. You're all set. Your driver
We
will
need to get that automated as well.
yeah. If I find that if I'm doing something, if I'm typing something for the fifth time, it is time
Yeah.
for me to automate it. But because
Yeah, no,
you
totally.
want to choose the language, you want to hit the right tones and
No,
notes.
no, no.
You know,
That's why the same message for everyone doesn't like, yeah, of course you can do it, but it's kind of like, so by the way, the software Ken's referring to is HighLevel. So HighLevel is a
that's right.
software that's for, they initially built it for agencies and now anyone can sign up. And it's enormously complex. So they built it for agencies to build for their specific niches. And when I say to build for, is it's sort of like a blank canvas, meaning there's no pre-built automations, there's no structure to the account. And don't get me wrong, you figure it out. If you're on the technical side, and the funny thing is, I've been using it now for 5.5 years. You were probably one of the first. You're not the one of the first clients, but you've had it
And
now
the
for a
first,
long.
yeah, I was in the first kind of batch.
You were in the you were in the first batch, and even what I know, I learned something after like 4.5 or 5 years. I was like, what I've been doing it wrong the whole time,
Right.
and I used to use all these different softwares for you guys for landing pages, call tracking, and everything. And now we brought it all in to one, and everything just works so much better when it's all handled by HighLevel. But no, it's just fantastic software. And just before this call, we were talking about saving more of your time, so that you can be either just hanging out and not having to do these repetitive sort of tasks, but things like building a knowledge base of all of the calls you've ever had, conversations you've had, that we can give to the AI, and then it can start coming up with responses for you. And for any of you watching this right now, if you have a CRM, which hopefully many of you do, I think it's a great idea. And I don't mean a limo booking software like Limo Anywhere or Fast Track or something like that. A CRM is generally for just customer. It's a customer database, and many of them will also allow for communication, text messaging, email. Right? Why does this matter? Well, increasingly with AI, we are able, if you have the data, that the conversations recorded, transcribed, if you have hundreds, if you have thousands of those, that's a treasure trove of data, because from those you can build a knowledge base. You can have Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini go through all of these and put together answers to the most commonly asked questions. But not just that, there's probably hundreds of little edge case questions. It can even get those. And so if you're not using a software that's recording your calls, and many in the limo industry use phone.com or I know Limo Anywhere has some, I think, software they work with. That's fine. As long as you're getting those recorded calls and you have access to them and you can get them transcribed, that's the important thing. I don't care which CRM you use, just start doing it now, because you will be thanking yourself in a year and a half from now, when most of your communication can be handled with AI assistance. And I'm not saying removing the human from it. I was just talking with Ken. It's not like, okay, go from Ken doing it all manually to, okay, let's let the AI handle it. It's there's a human in the loop, they call it, where it's going to transition to, okay, it's going to give Ken 3 responses based on what it's learned from his knowledge base and the question they ask. Now he can select one of those responses. He can even select one of those responses and edit it a bit. Now what's going to happen is, over time, it's going to learn and just get better and better, until at some point it'll be like, let's just try it on full auto and see how it goes. Now this might take a while until we have that level of trust, but I mean,
it'll take 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, no.
No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm serious. It might be,
but even but even up to that, and Mark and I did speak. We actually spent quite a bit of time on the phone just catching up before this.
Like an hour before this call.
Mark is like a mad scientist. Whatever. He's like, anytime I see Mark, he's like, he's a mad scientist.
I love this stuff.
He's like working away, and I can tell you, this is not a commercial for Mark, but I know that he doesn't rest on his laurels. Like, he's always coming up with something. I get the emails from him. When I chat with him, even his people, he's like, well, no, we're working on a new thing, and they're always cutting edge. That you guys are always ahead. Okay, so the commercial's over.
No, I am like, whoever you work with, but you're the same way though.
Yeah.
Like in your business, you're always trying to improve it.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to improve something. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows now.
Yeah. It does.
Because and so I'm going to do something that most people in my position usually wouldn't do. So we were looking at Ken's results from his ads before this call. And I was like, Ken, your ads, it looks like they haven't been performing as well lately. But Ken's like, man, but I'm killing it.
I'm crushing.
And so you know, relatively speaking, killing it. And so it turns out, and I'm not 100% sure on this,
Yeah, we're gonna
but
circle
Ken
back. Good.
has done so much work on getting TripAdvisor up, and then you're on Yelp as well, right? And you've got all these
Well,
other.
TripAdvisor, I mean, just I don't,
You're killing it on
I
TripAdvisor,
don't know,
right?
I don't know if we talked about it last time, but I started out at TripAdvisor as like number 419.
I can't believe
of,
they
tran-
had that
of
that many.
transportation
What?
in Orlando. Well, the weird thing is that you're competing against like the Disney monorail, like anything.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, all right,
right. You
that
know what I
makes
mean?
sense. I was like, "There's
Yeah.
no
I
way."
mean,
It's a big market, but
yeah, I
wow.
mean, good Greyhound buses. Well, not really, but I mean, that type of thing. So, when you kind of nail it down and then nail it down. But it took me months to get into TripAdvisor. I mean, I went through so many steps and you fill things out. And
Wow.
the final like boss hurdle was they wanted you to use their booking platform to book. And they
Yeah.
immediately
Yeah.
wanted to take 25% of your gross, which just means I'm going to raise my price 25%. That's just
Sure. It's like DoorDash, right? I
how
mean,
I,
I think they're 15% or
it's
something.
exactly, it's only through AI of what you guys integrated that saved me. But that's so,
25% though on TripAdvisor. That's their cut, or did you
no, no,
negotiate
no, no, no.
some?
That's just basically you just click a box saying okay, um, and I didn't click the box because
Yeah,
they
that's
also had
pretty
another
steep.
caveat that you needed to be available within it was either 4 or 6 hours from when the client said I want to book, which means somebody who's
That's insane.
boarding a plane at 2 o'clock in the morning at LAX, who's landing in Orlando at 6 a.m. Like my phone's supposed to ding at 2 in the morning. I've got to
Yeah.
be there at 6. I don't
That's
think so.
insane.
And so I kept, sending it to them, and a different manager, like I went up the food chain, a different manager would come
Yeah.
back and say, I'm sorry,
Good.
you do this. And then 20 minutes later, I'm sending it again. And then we went to another part of their team, and they're like, nope, you've got to use our platform. You've got to do this. And so I did that for like a month and a half until they just said, I must have worn them down. And they just said, okay, you can use it.
This guy's relentless.
And then so I went, yeah. So I went
I
from like
love it.
419, and I just posted on my Facebook yesterday because I knew we were going to talk. And I'm like, where am I on TripAdvisor? I'm number 22 now. Number 22,
Wow.
number 22 of 400, and now it's up to 443. So number 30, number 1 to 30 is on the first page. You have to be first page. So it
Whoa.
was big news when I hit the first page. Now I'm 22 because now I've got like 45 reviews, 5-star reviews. They're all 5-star. Um,
Yeah, no, your reviews
and
are.
but the way I did it though is that on the automated texts that I send out as soon as somebody I drop somebody off,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, and I always, this is my thing. I'm pulling the luggage out of the car. They're getting ready. We're curbside at the airport or
Yeah.
at the cruise ship or whatever. And I always say, I'm shamelessly going to ask for a review. You'll get a text
I
from me
love
in a
it.
little while. And they're on the review, the text that they get, there's a picture of me. And, thank you for, and there's a link to the very first one, and they just click on the link to TripAdvisor, and it takes them right to the page. So it's just easy. And then I say, if you really love
Interesting.
us, you can leave me the same review on Google, and there's a link to Google. And that so that so sometimes I get a double whammy. I get I'll get the
Wow.
and I make
That's
it.
brilliant
I
because you already have a lot of Google reviews, and your thought is like, hey, let's build up my TripAdvisor.
I went to your team, whatever, 5-6 months ago, and said, on this particular automated text that goes out, add this, and Marisol,
Yeah.
like 30 minutes later, she's like, done. And then boom, I started climbing the ranks. But there's something wrong with Google reviews now. I've been at number
I
two,
thought you had. I was gonna say. I was like, wait a second. I thought you
I
had
have
three
been at
hundred and
number
something.
I was at 287 6 months ago. And for some reason, no matter how
What?
many reviews I get, I'm at 287. I should be close to 400
I
reviews
was
right
gonna
now.
say, like,
I'm
they
so
must be
angry.
removing reviews or something.
I'm so angry with them.
Yeah, that's BS.
I
That's
should be at
lame.
400. I'm just close to 300 now.
No, I mean, yeah,
But
it's
anyway, so they're all 5-star reviews except for one, which is a 1-star review. And that person never even booked with me. It was a result of some lady road rage. And
how did you do that, Ken?
I know,
Like, how do no, how do you do that? Like,
can,
how? Because when you
it's gonna
work with
sound,
that many people,
yeah.
like, there's a certain percentage of people that I don't even know. Yeah, like just
You want to know
anything and everything.
the secret sauce? It's really easy. Consistency.
Yeah, no, I
And
believe it.
it's funny, I mean, I've got the, I don't know, gift of gab or whatever. I mean, it's conversation's easy, but you have to be able to read a room though. A ride with a family going on a Disney cruise is completely different than, and I'm getting more corporate clients, is the one who I pick up at a convention in Orlando and have to drive her to Clearwater to give the same spiel, for another 600 people at the same convention just held in Clearwater. They're exhausted. They want silence. I mean, she
Uh,
slept, or the executive that I'm picking up from Orlando that his next connection is in Jacksonville. It's 2 and 3 hours away. That guy wants to work. And so you have to be able to read a room. Um, but you treat them as guests, and I've got a pretty good sense of humor, and it's almost like, when comedians are learning, like they'll try out a joke.
yeah.
They'll
You
try
gotta
out a
test it
joke
out,
in
right?
Austin and they'll get a couple laughs, and then they'll hone it, and then they get to Minnesota, and they've told it 6 more times and they've honed it to a fine point. And by the time they get to Madison Square Garden 6 months later, that one joke kills. And so I find myself getting the same question.
How have I never heard that before? That is such a great like comparison because you almost always have a new audience, right? Which is great because
Yeah.
it's not like you're a comedian where you're like, man, this is the same
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah. And so, you listen for certain things in the conversation, and it's, I mean, I give my life story 3 or 4 times a day, because that's what, they're like, hey, the question's always like, have you always lived in Florida? No, I'm an Army brat. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and so I've lived here. I've lived here. I did most of my growing up, here, and then there's always a point right when we're going to the cruise terminal where I'm getting ready to go over a bridge, and I'm like a tour guide. I'm like, this is the Indian River. There are no Indians. I checked. That usually gets a laugh, right? And then the next river is the Banana River, right? So I'll say, we're coming up on the Banana River. There's no bananas. I've already checked. There's no Indians. There's no bananas. Everyone's like, and then I'm like, if you look off to, I do this, Mark, I can tell you,
You
I
got
do
it
this.
down, right?
It's like 40 times a day. I go, if you look off to your left, that big building, big white square building at your 10 o'clock position is Kennedy Space Center. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, you could see the big blue NASA logo. Everyone's like, ooh, I'm like, yeah, we get about 20 rockets, rocket launches a month. 20. Oh yeah. The first 20 times I put it on Facebook, the same thing I just told you, word for
Yeah.
word for word, and I mean, it's not like it's stale and, and I'm corny about it. It's just part of the natural conversation flow where they get off, they've spent 45 minutes or an hour with me. They get off, and I've been told sometimes that the ride to there was the highlight of some of the kids' entire vacation, and they've been on the Disney Fantasy for 7 days.
Whoa.
I mean,
That's a pretty high bar, Ken.
I'm
That's a
telling you,
pretty high bar.
it is.
Jeez.
It doesn't happen
That's
all the
crazy.
time, but it's you have to love what you do. And I'm around, and all of the numbers crunching I did, and finding you, and figuring out if this would be a viable business. At the end of the day, it took me about 2 months, and I realized that I'm around happy people all day long. They're going, they're
Oh
going on
yeah.
vacation.
That is so
Yeah.
that is
But it's,
so big.
it's consistency. It is follow up. I mean, I've parted ways with drivers who could not confirm with people the day before. People's vacations are precious. They wait all year for them, and they want to know that somebody knows that they have got a 4 a.m. pickup tomorrow morning to take them to the airport. That's just, it's
Yes.
part of the service. If somebody is going out for a, an anniversary dinner, I Google map the restaurant if I haven't been there the night before, because they're dressed to the T, right? It's a nice night. We've had, I've had Sinatra playing or whatever. They've had a couple cocktails, or I've provided champagne. And the last thing I want to do is pull into a new restaurant parking lot and not know where the entrance is. And
Yeah.
I'm doing a 3 point turn by the dumpsters and the three cooks that are flicking cigarette butts at my car, right? That's so embarrassing. I want to be able to drive up with the passenger side facing the doors so I can get out and walk around the front of the car, not the rear, and open the door and just have it seamless.
I need to take some notes from you, Ken, because you even it's funny
You provide
because
water, it's got to be chilled water. How hard is it to put water in your freaking refrigerator and get
and it's a completely different experience, by the way, with chilled water. Well, it's the details, right?
It is, it is. First of all, just it's a given that your car has been washed and it's been vacuumed and it smells good.
Yeah.
Um,
Not too good.
no, no,
I've
no,
been in
no,
those cars where it's like
no, no,
where it
no.
couldn't be almost worse, right?
No, no, the olfactory nerve is a huge indicator. Now, it's just basics. You have to be showered. You have to be, your
Yeah.
clothes have to be clean. Chilled water. I've got an assortment of music, and I stick to kind of really basic stuff. I know that if I've got an older crowd and they're going to dinner, it's the serious, simply Sinatra. It's classy.
I get it because you're like, I'm going to be in this situation. And I know it's kind of like if you're speaking on a stage or something and you want to be very prepared because you're like,
Yeah,
if I don't prepare, I'm going to be so uncomfortable that day.
yeah,
The whole morning, I'm going to be a nervous wreck.
yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
so much more worth it to prepare just
Well,
because.
especially in this day and age where the Airbnbs are so prevalent. And I just did this morning. I had somebody book. She's doing an Airbnb to Daytona. I was last night to Daytona Beach, and she gave me the address. I pulled it up on Google Maps, and I do that especially if they call me. I'm like, wait a minute, and so I pulled it up after I'd already sent out the invoice with the and I was giving it to one of my guys, and the address was basically like a dead end, and there's like nothing around it. And you can tell the difference when you go to Google Maps, if it's a new housing development, like, okay, it's not built yet, but
Yeah.
this was in Daytona Beach right there, and it was a street, Thompson Street. It was only from the beach, one block, and then it ended at the second block with a dead end. And it was right there. And it was like, 100 Thompson Street. And I'm like, 100 Thompson Street does not exist. You know what I mean? And then I did the
Yeah.
pretend to drive where like you click and you go ahead 100 feet, 100 feet. You know what I mean? Like, let's pretend that
Yeah.
you're driving it. You know what I mean? I'm like, is this I'm zooming in. This is not an apartment building. This is, and I texted her and I go, "Are you sure about that address? Because I don't want to give it to one of my guys because they're flying in at 9 o'clock at night from Orlando, so they're not going to be. So my poor driver is going to be there somewhere in the neighborhood of 11:30 at night. He's going to be tired. He would
Yes.
have driven, and she's a talker, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that
No, but
you
no,
know,
I
but
get it.
you're
It's
compounding all of these things, and when you're a pilot, it's like you try and minimize all the distractions so that you're concentrating on the safety and all. And it's kind of the same way, but and I'm just like, are you sure about that? But so how this all kind of relates to the experience that they're
Yeah.
going to get. You do the due diligence before, so you're not doing a 3-point turn when they're dressed to the nines by the dumpsters at the restaurant. It's humiliating.
Yeah.
You check to make sure there's no dishwasher spots on you,
Yeah.
and so that's how I've been able to maintain 5-star reviews. And I've had guys that have worked for me for a year or two who just one day they got too big for themselves, and they said, and I put food on their table for a couple of years, and then one day they just decided that we're not gonna confirm the day before. Ken, you should do that. I'm too busy. And oh, by the way, don't give me any bookings more than 2 weeks out. And I'm like, you know what? You're a pain in the ass. Goodbye.
Yeah. Wait. What's going on here?
You begged me, to work for me. And I met with you and I put food on your table for 2 years, and now this is how you're going to do it. No.
And you're still doing the same thing on your end for your clients, right? I mean, that's the thing here. No matter, from when you just started to now,
yeah.
The bar you set is high.
Yeah.
And that's where the bar is. And it's not going to get lower. Yeah. And that's.
And before I bring people on, as when I find somebody who impresses me and I decide to kind of take them under my wing, before I bring them on, I make sure that they know exactly what is expected of them.
Yeah.
You're going to confirm the day before. When you give me a bid, this includes gratuities. Right.
Yeah.
So up it by 20, whatever, because when you say it's $150, I'm only giving you.
Yeah. That's an all-in rate.
I just personally, I hate being nickel and dined.
No, totally.
You want to buy that car? Okay, great. What about tires? That's an extra $700. Come on.
Oh, you want air in the tires too?
I just hate being nickel and dined in life.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to make it easy, just easy. Now, 80% of the time, they tip you anyway. But
no, totally right. Yeah.
But and so it's just kind of the way it is. So
yeah. So, man, this has been awesome, Ken. Thank you so much for doing this again.
I appreciate it.
I love having you on because it's just like a reminder for everyone. Like, hey, it's really just a lot of the basics.
It is,
but consistently, year after year after year.
Yeah,
and you have a business now that, and it's only going to get better from here. Because,
oh my God, it's exploding. It's coming in from everywhere. And you and I are going to regroup on the things that you been cooking in the back room. Because I'm spending a lot more time doing things, and there's a lot of good suggestions that you had before. But
we're going to do that knowledge based thing and try to offload, because really right now, this is February 2026. We're recording this. At this point, pretty much all of your SMS and email support can be automated, and automated to a point where it doesn't look automated, where the replies are all unique, where it knows the context. And honestly, I've heard a lot of, they're even there with the voice AI, but let's start with at least the text messages, the emails. You shouldn't be spending your time doing that. And, we'll roll that out, and, hopefully you can get some time back, to where you can, just not have to do a bunch of manual emails and text messages, right?
The less I can do on stupid busy work, and the more I can do on growing the business, increasing my sales, that's a win.
That's it. That's the name of the game. Cool.
Cool.
Awesome, Ken.
All right, man.
Again.
Take care.
See ya.